you've said on the stage that you didn't think video in a small device like that made sense.
Headphones are a miraculous thing. You put on a pair of headphones and you get the same experience you get with a great pair of speakers, right? You can do video on these devices if you want to, but the things that are suboptimal about it are the screen size, so it fits in your pocket, and the battery life and things like that. There's no such thing as headphones for video, right? There's not something I can carry with me that I can put on and it gives me the same experience I get when I'm watching my 50-inch plasma display at home. And until somebody invents that, you're going to have these opposing constraints.
Well, they have those huge goggles you can wear.
But they're lousy.
But you never get a date if you ever wear them, right?
Hey everyone, welcome back. Apple have just released their first ever mixed reality headset. And if you imagine some ski goggles smashed together with the AirPods Max, then you won't be far off the mark. They're calling it Vision Pro.
This is a day that's been years in the making.
It definitely has. It's been almost 10 years since Apple released a genuinely new product category with its launch of the Apple Watch way back in 2014. In this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about this headset. What the hell it is, why would you need one, is it any good, and of course all the key info from the design to the key features and the specs. So let's get into it. Starting off with what this is, Apple is calling this a mixed reality headset, which means it's combining both AR and VR technology into one product. See, over the past few years, tech companies like Apple have been scrambling to figure out how to nail the AR and VR experiences. VR, or virtual reality, is a completely immersive virtual environment. When you put on a VR headset, in most instances, you're shutting yourself off from the immediate reality and entering into some sort of digital world. VR has primarily focused on gaming in recent years, with headsets like Oculus, now rebranded as Meta, being the front runners in this space. AR, or augmented reality, on the other hand, is a different sausage entirely. The key difference is that AR actually blends the real world with the digital world, the idea being that you see normally, but this is enhanced by helpful or fun digital overlays. For that reason, AR is actually much harder to achieve, because you still need to see the real world around you for all of this to work. Projects like Google Glass attempted to provide this functionality, but ultimately failed, probably because you had to walk around with a not so subtle camera strapped to the front of your face. But Apple, on the other hand, appear to have combined both AR and VR into a single product, although arguably this is a lot more VR leaning than AR for now. This is a brave move, as is a risk you don't do either very well. And it's an even braver move considering society is still recoiling from the isolation and loneliness of COVID. Dr. Murthy, the Surgeon General of the US, recently declared loneliness was the new public health crisis in an 85-page memo released in May. And as a Times reporter put it, who tried the Vision Pro, he said he could feel himself shutting down. And then there's the price. $3,500 is a lot. It really makes you take notice, especially in this climate, and particularly for a product that will be effectively obsolete in 2 years, according to Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus. Compare this with a decent TV, which will cost less and will keep you going for 7 years plus, not to mention your entire family gets to watch it at the same time. All of this poses a key question. Have Apple missed the mark on this one? Well, let's find out. Starting with the design, we've already spoken about if some Oakley ski goggles and the AirPods Max had a baby, then this is probably where you'd end up. All joking aside though, for the amount of clever tech that's been put into these, I think Apple have done a really good job with the design. In fact, there were over 5,000 patents that went into making this possible. The colours are classic Apple, with whites, greys, polished aluminium and highlights of orange. And the entire headset is actually a modular design, separating into 3 different segments for customizable elements. Starting off with the headband then, it's been designed with a breathable and cushioned material that stretches and adapts to your head. They've also included a perfect tension mechanism called Fit Dial, which you might have noticed looks very similar to the BOA lace system you find now on running shoes. This works so well in fact that there's no need for a supporting headband over the top of your head like other headsets, which is a big win. And just in case that's not enough for you, Apple is saying there's going to be different headband sizes, so you'll be able to switch out the headbands to find the perfect fit for you. Just along from the headband is the speakers, which feature spatial audio. But there's also room around your ear to wear AirPods or buds if you need to, which would be great if you're traveling and need private audio. The cushioning around the eyes has a grey breathable light seal to properly cocoon your face. Once again, the light seal comes in different sizes to find the fit that perfectly molds to your face. There's also a digital crown, just like on the AirPods Max, as well as a slightly raised power button on the top. On the left, there's the power connector, which looks just like the Apple Watch charger. And finally, there's just the overall front enclosure, which is made from a singular piece of glass. And this itself is absolutely rammed with clever tech. For starters, you need to be able to see the world around you in high fidelity, as close to what your eyes see as possible. This means a focus on two key things: cameras and displays. On the outside of the Vision Pro, there's 2 forward-facing cameras, 2 downward-facing cameras, 2 side cameras, 2 infrared illuminators, a LiDAR scanner, a true depth camera, and 6 microphones. That complete sensor array is what's enabling super low latency pass-through mode. So low latency, in fact, that Apple even make a thing of showing a dad seemingly playing football with his kid whilst wearing them in the kitchen. And then there's all of the sensors on the inside, which, well, kind of remind me of something. If it does look similar though, that's for good reason, because there's a lot going on to make the eye tracking work to an incredible detail. In fact, Apple actually state that there's a system of LEDs and infrared cameras that project invisible light patterns onto each eye. This also allows for a new eye scanner unlocking mechanism called Optic ID. And then there's the displays themselves. So on the inside, each eye has a custom micro OLED display, each with more pixels than a 4K TV. They're also specifically designed as 3-element lenses to create the feeling of a display that's everywhere you look, rather than simply a flat perspective. What's more, Apple actually collaborated with Zeiss, a lens company, to make sure prescription lenses or custom optical inserts can be snapped into position without interfering with how the device works. And finally, on the outside, another OLED display to allow a feature called eyesight, which shows your face and eyes to others on the outside when people are near. This is a really nice touch from Apple, albeit a little creepy. All of these things together are helping to power Apple's intuitive new interaction design, which involves pinching your fingers to select something. It's pretty incredible that the sensors can pick up what your hand is doing without the need for any big gestures or hand movements, or even having a smart ring or a smartwatch on your wrist. No controllers, unlike other headsets. Everything you need is controlled by either your hands, your eyes, or your voice. So with all that in mind, let's talk about why you might want one of these. From my perspective, there are probably 3 core areas that are going to draw people in. The first is productivity. Imagine being able to use this headset like a giant portable screen that you can take anywhere in the world with you. That's pretty cool. And then there's the Apple ecosystem on top of that. For example, if you have a Mac, you can simply look at your laptop and the headset will seamlessly pull your Mac's display into the air as a separate window. Combine this with a keyboard and a mouse and you start to see how powerful this could be going forwards. Being able to just pull this stuff directly from the tech around you is an incredible level of integration. And the fact that there's power saving by only rendering things on the screen in high fidelity that you're looking at, again, is a really subtle but powerful thing. And the way each of the floating windows cast shadows over your environment, again, is pretty next level stuff. The second big area is communication. Probably like all of you guys, when I first saw the FaceTime example that was being shown, I was wondering how it would work. How would people see your face? But it turns out the Apple Vision Pro is actually able to scan a 3D model of your face, turning it into a digital avatar that synchronizes directly with the movements of your face and your voice. Probably not something that's a key selling point for me, but it's nice to know it's there if you ever wanted to use it. But the most exciting area, by far from my perspective, is entertainment. Apart from apparently being able to view content in 3D using the headset, the big difference between this and a TV is the sheer amount of immersion immersion that this thing provides. Imagine watching a sci-fi movie and being able to feel properly in the world that you're in whilst watching it. This is what Apple is calling environments. The crown on the side will let you pull in more or less immersion depending on what you're looking for. So if you want total immersion, then this is really, really cool. This is also when you start to realise how important Apple's partnership with Disney is.
Thanks, Tim.
Ultimately, partners will need to be the ones that build these environments to match up with the content you're watching, and that's a lot of work. So it's no surprise at all to see Bob Iger on Apple's stage once again. And then there's obviously gaming as well. But it's great that Apple don't make this the focus. It feels that we finally moved away from VR, bringing a gaming only device, and that's quite an exciting prospect. There's actually a fourth use case as well, albeit a bizarre one, where Apple Vision Pro can actually be used as a camera to record things in stereoscopic 3D. I've got to be honest about this one, guys, this is a little bit creepy from my perspective. Sort of reminds me of that birthday cake scene from Blade Runner where fake dreams are inserted to replicants, and it sort of makes you wonder whether this is where Apple got some of their marketing ideas from. So yeah, anyway. So at this point you're probably thinking, is it worth getting? If you're already in the market for a VR headset and you've got some cash to spare, then this is clearly the best on the market right now. Even with a price tag of $34.99, it's packing an incredible amount of tech for the price. If you're not already looking to buy one though, for the vast majority of people, the price is going to be a major stumbling point. And if you've got to think about the things that you're realistically going to be using this for, can I see myself using this for calls? Probably not. For productivity, maybe occasionally, but for me, the main use by far would be entertainment, especially when traveling. It's hard to compare this with anything else on the market because it's head and shoulders above its competition. The other big issue though, from my perspective, is the battery life. 2 hours with an external battery pack attached just isn't that great. It's not even long enough to watch a feature film if you're traveling without power. The new Avatar movie is 3 hours and 12 minutes long, and even if you discount battery life for a moment, there are serious questions to be answered about how long this will be comfortable to wear for. Not to mention whether you want to strap this to your face for any long period of time at all, given what we said earlier about isolation and loneliness. Perhaps that's why the first hands-on session in Apple's HQ were limited to 30 minutes max. There's another problem though, something few are talking about, which is Siri. This device is screaming for some sort of ChatGPT level assistant, and Siri is just holding Apple back at the moment when compared to the competition. It's all very well looking at a search box and then pressing your fingers together and then using a voice input, but doesn't that seem a bit behind the curve? Wouldn't it be so much more intuitive just to talk to an assistant? Whether the headset VR market is here to stay or not is a complicated question, and we all know what happens to a market after Apple enters it. So whatever you do, you can't count this thing out. But one thing's for sure, this product is a proof of concept at this stage. Which just reminds me that the first gen of any new product category is exactly that. It's a first attempt. I personally don't think the iPhone was perfected until the iPhone 4, and most people forget that when the Apple Watch first released, it wasn't even waterproof until its second iteration. So it's likely that the second version of the Vision Pro will be another big leap forward, and that is something I'm quite excited for. With all that in mind, I guess you're wondering whether I'm going to buy the Vision Pro. The honest answer is probably yes. Will it be the first generation that I buy though? That I'm less sure of. And whether I end up keeping it will be a story for another time. But I'm really keen to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below, and with that, I'll say goodbye. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.